A single weekend in KwaZulu-Natal moved more alcohol than some legal distributors sell in a year. 64,000 liters, enough to fill tankers, flood taverns, and fuel thousands of nights that never made it to morning. While many families were preparing food, music, and prayer for the festive season, police were counting firearms, drugs, and arrest numbers that climbed into the thousands. December didn't arrive quietly. It arrived under sirens, roadblocks, and blue lights cutting through holiday traffic. This festive crackdown wasn't just about numbers on a press statement. It was about pressure. Pressure on roads packed with long-distance buses. Pressure on communities already living with crime fatigue. And pressure on a police service expected to keep order during the most chaotic weeks of the year. On paper, the operation looked decisive. Thousands arrested, illegal firearms seized, drugs taken off the streets, alcohol confiscated by the leader. But behind those headlines sits a deeper question. Did this crackdown actually change anything once the music got louder and the patrol vans drove on? Before we get there, imagine this. It's a December night in KZN. The air is heavy, taxis are full, taverns spill onto pavements, and tempers rise as fast as the volume. In that same hour, police convoys roll out across urban centers and rural roads alike. Roadblocks appear where there were none yesterday. Officers search boots, count bottles, and log names. The festive season becomes a test, not of celebration, but of control. Who has it, who loses it, and who pays the price when it slips? The scale of the operation matters because scale is often confused with impact. Thousands of arrests sound like success, but arrests alone don't tell you what kind of crime was disrupted, for how long, or at what cost. Some arrests were for serious offenses: illegal firearms, drug trafficking, violent crime. Others were for minor infractions that spike every December: drinking in public, undocumented alcohol sales, traffic violations. When all of it is added together, the number grows fast, but the meaning becomes blurry. Firearms were a major focus, and for good reason. Every illegal gun removed from circulation is one less potential funeral, one less family shattered by a moment of rage or robbery. During the festive season, disputes escalate faster, alcohol lowers restraint, and the presence of a firearm turns arguments into tragedies. Police know this, which is why gun seizures are often highlighted first. The unspoken truth, though, is that firearm seizures tend to cluster around known hotspots. The same communities, the same streets, the same cycles repeating year after year. Then there is alcohol, the most visible and controversial part of the crackdown. 64,000 liters seized sounds dramatic, but alcohol enforcement cuts in two directions. On one side, alcohol is linked to road deaths, domestic violence, and assaults that spike during holidays. On the other, alcohol sales are tied to livelihoods, informal traders, and social spaces that fill gaps where recreation is scarce. When police pour seized alcohol into drains or load it onto trucks, they're not just removing a substance. They're interrupting an entire night economy that thrives in December. Drugs tell a different story. Festive season trafficking increases because movement increases. People travel, borders blur, and distribution networks take advantage of the noise. Police seizures during this period often represent intelligence-led wins, intercepted consignments, targeted raids, arrests higher up the chain. Yet even here, the question lingers: how much was stopped and how much simply rerouted? Drug markets are adaptive. A seizure hurts, but it rarely ends the trade. What the public sees most clearly is visibility: roadblocks every few kilometers, patrol vans idling outside taverns, officers stopping cars packed with coolers and luggage. Visibility changes behavior, at least temporarily. Drivers slow down. Some people turn back. Others hide what they can and take their chances. For a few weeks, crime statistics may dip, not because crime vanished, but because it went quiet waiting for January. For residents, the experience is mixed. Some feel safer seeing police everywhere, especially after months of feeling abandoned. Others feel harassed, searched repeatedly, or targeted in familiar ways. Festive policing magnifies existing trust issues. Where relationships between police and community are already strong, cooperation improves. Where mistrust runs deep, the crackdown feels like occupation rather than protection. There's also an economic layer that rarely makes the headline. Informal traders depend on December. One good festive season can carry a family through slower months. When alcohol is seized, stalls shut down, or movement is restricted, the impact isn't abstract. It's school fees, rent, groceries. Law enforcement becomes entangled with survival, and that tension never shows up in arrest tallies. As operations intensify, questions about rights and due process surface quietly. Searches, arrests, and seizures must still follow the law, even under pressure. Festive operations move fast and mistakes happen faster. An unlawful search, a wrongful arrest, a confiscation without paperwork, each one chips away at legitimacy. Policing effectiveness isn't only measured by what is taken off the street, but by how it's done. The data released after these crackdowns often creates a sense of momentum. Numbers are compared to last year. Graphs trend upward. But data can mislead. More arrests can mean better enforcement or simply more officers on the street. More seizures can reflect stronger intelligence or just heavier traffic. Deterrence is harder to measure. Crime that doesn't happen leaves no report. Halfway through the festive season, public opinion tends to split. Some say the police are finally doing their job. Others ask why this level of enforcement only appears in December. That question cuts deep because it exposes a truth many would rather avoid. Festive crackdowns are intense precisely because they are temporary. They are surges, not systems. As December wears on, the strain shows on the other side of the badge. Long shifts, limited rest, and constant confrontation wear officers down. Fatigue leads to shortcuts, slower reactions, and rising tension. Policing a festive crowd is not like policing an ordinary week. It's louder, faster, and less predictable. Burnout doesn't make headlines, but it shapes outcomes. Another quiet reality is repeat offenders. Many festive arrests involve people already known to the system. The crackdown doesn't introduce new faces so much as it reshuffles familiar ones. This isn't a failure of policing alone. It's a signal of deeper gaps in rehabilitation, employment, and social support that a December operation can't fix. Technology plays a growing role during these operations. License plate scanners, data-led patrols, communication systems linking units across districts. When used well, technology sharpens focus and reduces random enforcement. When used poorly, it overwhelms officers with information they can't act on. The festive season tests whether tools are actually integrated or just present. Geography matters too. Urban centers see concentrated enforcement and quick results. Rural areas experience longer response times and fewer roadblocks, even though festive risks exist there as well. The crackdown doesn't land evenly, and communities notice the difference. Youth and nightlife sit at the center of the storm. Clubs, taverns, and house parties drive both celebration and conflict. Enforcement around these spaces often focuses on closing times and alcohol compliance, but prevention, safe transport, conflict mediation, youth engagement remains thin. After midnight, policing becomes reactive. As arrests increase, pressure shifts to the courts and detention facilities. Holding cells fill up, court rolls grow longer. Not every arrest leads to prosecution, and not every case moves quickly. The system downstream absorbs the surge, often without additional resources. By the time January arrives, the roadblocks thin out. Patrol patterns return to normal. Some of the seized guns and drugs are gone for good. Much of the alcohol will be replaced within weeks. What lingers is the memory of safety for some, of frustration for others, of a question that never quite goes away. What if this level of focus wasn't seasonal? The festive season crackdown in KZN shows what concentrated policing can achieve in a short time. It also reveals its limits. Crime responds to pressure, but it doesn't disappear under it. True safety is quieter, slower, and less dramatic than a December blitz. And when the lights dim and the sirens fade, the real test begins. Whether the lessons of the festive season carry forward, or whether they wait once again for next December. Don't let the conversation end here. Subscribe so you don't miss stories that explain what's really happening on our streets, in our communities, and behind official numbers. New videos dive deeper, ask harder questions, and connect the dots others skip. Hit subscribe.